And so what I'm doing is I'm getting my flat established here that's going to be at the right angle to just start getting close to my layout line and the top edge of this knife at just about the same time. And once I get that established, I start creeping out and creeping out and creeping out. And this is all relief cut just so I don't shear a bunch of grit off the belt as I bring it forward. So I've got my line just about even, and I'm starting to creep into this area, and we just keep that foundation, which is the right geometry, and we just take it slowly out to the edge of the knife. And then when we move up to the 80 grit, now this is a 36 grit ceramic belt, and it doesn't generate a lot of heat. Now you see me dunking it from time to time, but when it starts feeling hot in my fingers, I'll reach over there, I'll give it a quench. But it takes a whole lot to even start affecting the heat treatment in this CPM 154. As I've said before, it is very, very similar to high-speed steel in that it can take heat and retain its heat treatment. It's just a great steel. But I'm going to continue on, and when I start getting close to my layout lines and close to up here, I'll switch up to a finer grit. And again, we'll finish with about a 320, and we'll do both sides before we step over and start hand sanding and getting these flats in here just nice and even. There's a lot of hand work, but the machine is really just to get the steel out of there quickly so we can get down to the serious stuff. Okay, we're just about done with this first side. And you see, when you get your flat established back here and then just slowly creep it out using this as your foundation, you can keep it even all the way out. And that's important. That keeps you from grinding a bunch of flats and that you have to dress up. So we're just about ready to jump up and grip, but now I have to grind this side to this point, and then we'll step up and grip. We're almost to the layout line here, but not quite. And we're almost to the top of the grind here, but that's as far as I want to go with a 30 grit. Okay, well this is Rand's knife after an 80 grit grind, and we've just about gotten all the big 30 grit scratches out. And it's important at this stage to keep your touch light. So I'll begin back here, and then I'll just draw the knife in one motion, keeping my flat on there. And that keeps you from digging holes. Now you're going to find low spots when we get into the hand sanding, but we don't want them to be, you know, horrible. So yeah, light touch, and then we're still going to be moving up. We'll be going through 180 and then up to 320 in this same manner, and we still barely have some layout lines shown. And I'm going to reach those with the 320 grit, and then make them finally disappear with the hand sanding phase. But yeah, we'll stay with this knife up to that 320 before I take this guide off, and then this guy moves over to Craig's knife, and we'll be pretty much doing the same thing on that, and then we'll come back and we'll taper this. But it's turning out nicely, and if you notice with the 80, we've taken it on up to the top of the grind, because what we want this knife blade to do is, from here forward, we want a gentle taper all the way to the point so we can get some good flexibility in the steel. And the only place the blade's going to remain full thickness is right about where my finger is, and then down here, of course, where the bottom of the guard will be. But those are the only two areas on the knife that are going to remain at its original, what did I say, 105 thousandths thickness. This fillet knife will be nice and flexible and still retain some good spring steel temper. And I'm keeping the point a little thicker in relation to the rest of the blade, because I don't like a real delicate point on any field knife. You might need this knife to do other things other than just gently fillet a fish. So I'm going to have a little bit of beef in that tip just to preserve its integrity. But we're going to keep going, and we'll be back probably when I've got Craig's knife jigged up, and we're going to be doing the same thing, rough, and then intermediate, and then up to the fine grind. And then we'll be over on the rotary vise and getting these things ready for their final finish. We'll take both knives up to about a 2000 grit hand satin finish, and we'll be getting them wrapped up just as soon as we can. But yeah, that's what you're shooting for at about this stage of the build.